Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we are working on a sympathy arrangement. Now this is an arrangement that we received from one of our funeral home websites. And so it's an arrangement that we don't normally do, and when it comes through on our website, it has a menu or a recipe. And so we are following that recipe today. I think it included 7 white carnations, 7 white roses, 6 white lilies. Let me look at it. 6 white lilies, 7 white roses, 7 white carnations, and then some greenery and a container. So we have got this flower pot that we had in our in the back. It's just kind of a neutral colored, kind of a gray pot. I have taken a block of fresh floral foam that has been soaked, and we tucked it right down into that pot, and then we taped it in. I made sure that there's plenty of water in the reservoir. Now I am going to start off with my flowers first, and then we will add our foliage after. So we are going to start with, let's see, I guess I always hate to start with my lilies first, but because they're just very delicate. But we're going to start with our lilies first because they have lots of beautiful blooms on them. So we're going to start with our lilies and then fill in our space. So these are oriental lilies. They're beautiful white oriental lilies. Now they're not real open, and that's nice because that just means that this arrangement will last longer. So I'm grabbing my floral knife. I'm going to start with this lily first. I'm going to take, any time that the stamens are down in your lilies, Victoria removed the stamens, but anytime you get lilies and they have the stamens down in, be sure to remove them. Now they will open up and they will put pollen all over your flowers and then all over your clothes. So you want to be very careful with that. Now, if pollen gets on the lily, you can take a pipe cleaner or chenille stem and pick that pollen up off of that lily. The problem is that if you leave it too long, that yellow pollen will stain those beautiful white lilies. So you want to try to pull the stamens as quick as possible. Now, if the pollen gets on your clothing, don't worry. I know that a lot of times, and back when I didn't know this trick, I would kind of panic because it stains your clothes. What you're going to do is, say you get it on your blouse or your pants, lay your clothes in the sunshine. If you will lay them directly in the sunshine, and it doesn't even have to be outside. If the sun is pouring through a window, the sunshine will absorb the pollen off your clothes. So it's a wonderful hack, and I promise it works because I've done it many times. I'm going to take my floral knife. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to press that lily right down into that fresh floral foam. I have a second stem, so we have 6 total lilies. Here's one of the stamens. I'm going to pull it out really quickly, and you want to be very careful because you certainly don't want to break your lily. Lilies are so delicate. So I just pulled that stamen right out and throw that away. Cut that stem at an angle and press that lily right down into that fresh floral foam. Now I don't usually put my flowers first. I have always, I guess when I learned to design flowers, I always put my flowers in after my foliage. And I find that if you will put your flowers in first, that they are really more prominent in the arrangement. And I don't know why, it's interesting. Okay, and here is our last stem. So we did 6 stems of white lilies. Now the wonderful part about these lilies is they have so many beautiful blooms on one stem, so that's really nice. So they're really big and really showy. Okay, so there are our white lilies. That's 6 total stems, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 blooms, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 buds. So that is a lot of flowers for just 6 stems of lilies. Next, we're going to come in with our carnations. So our design, or our recipe, called for 6 stems of white carnations. So we've got those. Next, I'm going to take my carnation and I'm going to make just an O with my forefinger and my thumb, and I'm just going to hold very carefully that carnation between those fingers. And then I am going to fluff it. So I'm just taking that bloom, holding it delicately, and fluffing it. Now you don't want to hold it here and fluff it because you're going to pop its head off. And so a carnation is the only flower you need to fluff. Don't do that with any other flower. But that just opens that bloom right up. So I'm going to take my carnations and I am going to work them throughout these lilies and just fill in the space. Again, you want to be very careful working between those lilies because those lilies are very delicate and they will break easily. Somebody's car alarm's going off. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I'm sorry about that. We are right across the street. Our flower shop is right across the street from a busy shopping center, and so there are lots of cars over there shopping today. All right, so I am just kind of working them between those lilies to fill in the empty spaces. All right, so there are our white carnations. Next, we are going to come in with 7 white roses. Now, all of my roses have been wired. I'm going to show you really quickly. If you look closely, you'll see that we added wire to that rose. We like to wire our roses here at our shop. It just guarantees when you're working with fresh floral foam or even in water, it's just going to guarantee that even if this flower does not get enough water, his head will not dip. So we wire our roses using my floral knife. I'm just going to cut that stem at an angle, and I am going to add my roses next. So again, just like my carnations, I am going to try to fill in some of those empty spaces. I'm going to step back just a second and look at the design. I think I need a flower here. And again, I'm just working it right through, just simply placing the white roses in between all of the other blooms. Now this is a one-sided design, so that means that there are no flowers on the back side. We're just going to put some greenery back there. All right, so there are our 6 stems of lilies, 7 stems of white roses, 7 stems of white carnations. And next we're going to add some greenery. So this design called for, salal. And I think it told me 3 stems of salal. It's so funny. 3 stems of salal, 1 stem of seeded eucalyptus, 2 stems of spiral eucalyptus. Now, my spiral eucalyptus does not have laterals. And so what I mean by that is it's just a single stem of eucalyptus. So we're going to use a few more than just 2. What it means by having laterals is it's extra little stems coming off. So we're just going to use a few more than just 2. I do not have any salal and I do not have seeded eucalyptus. So the recipe says that as long as it's similar in style, it doesn't matter if I substitute. So that's what we will do. Instead of the salal, I have pittosporum, and instead of the seeded eucalyptus, I have silver dollar eucalyptus. So I'm going to come in with my couple of stems, 2 or 3 stems of the spiral eucalyptus. And I'm using 4 stems of that spiral eucalyptus tucked in. Okay, next we are going to come in with our pittosporum. So this is a variegated pittosporum. Now what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to break it into smaller pieces, and I'm going to try to cover my fresh floral foam. Now that's the hardest part to me, and I just bumped that lily. See, I told you, you have to be careful. That's the hardest part to me, is to, when they give you 4 stems of greenery, how in the world are we covering that foam? That's important, to cover your foam. So I tucked that pittosporum down deep into that design. All right, there's our pittosporum. And then we have, instead of our seeded eucalyptus, we're going to use 1 stem of silver dollar eucalyptus. So I'm going to take it, and again, I'm going to do it the same as I did my pit. I'm going to just cut it in, break it into smaller pieces, and just kind of come on the edge of that container so that it just kind of drips over the edge. Now, when designing, it is so important that you cover your mechanics. I don't want this fresh floral foam to show, right? You don't want your underpants to show, and that's the same with your foam and your mechanics. You don't want all of the mechanics to show. So you're going to make sure that you cover those. And so I'm going to show you what we're going to add to cover up those mechanics. Okay? We have 1 more small piece of that eucalyptus. Just tucked it right in. So you can see how when I move the arrangement, that eucalyptus has pretty movement. And I really like that with eucalyptus. Okay, so here's the thing. When I turn this arrangement around, and maybe the design wasn't meant to be this tall. Maybe the design was meant to be more compact. But I thought it would be really nice this tall. So I think it does give me the dimensions, and I bet I have it taller than it says 24 by 26. So it's taller than 26 inches. Honestly, let me grab a measuring stick and tell you exactly how tall it is. Let's see, here is a measuring stick, so let's see how tall I have it. It is roughly 26 inches, 27 and a half with our eucalyptus here. And then in width, so I'm going to take my jade and I'm going to break it in half. And I am just going to make sure that I am covering this foam. It's so important, y'all, to cover your mechanics and to have good at mechanics for that matter. You're always going to want to be sure that your arrangement's not going to fall apart. You want to be sure that you're going to tape that foam into place and it's not going to fall apart, and you want to cover those mechanics. So you can see I'm just taking, so far I think I have 3 whole stems of jade in this arrangement. I'm just taking and cutting it in half and tucking it right around that floral foam so that it doesn't show. And that's 4 stems of jade that I used. And then there is our finished design. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions about how we do things, you can always ask. We would love to answer your questions. Do me a great big favor. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you would be sure to subscribe to our channel, that would be fabulous. Guys, you have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you real soon.